Oh, let me shift my knee. Let me go ahead and shift my knee and make sure that the streaming situations are awake. YouTube is coming to life. YouTube's coming to life. Rockfin, not so much. What's going on, YouTube? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? There you are. YouTube's alive and well. YouTube is doing it to it, fighting for justice. And here's the there. Rockfin just came right when I'm doing the knee thing. Perfect. It's always delayed. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the patron stream / Rockfin Premium stream. This is where I respond directly to the patrons and the Rockfin Premiums, and the replay of the stream will only be available on those platforms. It goes out live to everybody. Goes out live to everybody. But the replay of this stream is only available on Patreon and Rockfin Premium. And how can you become a Patreon? Well, you can go to patreon.com / Ron Placone, and for a Give What You Can level, you get the replay of this stream and all the patron streams. You get a patron Zoom show once a week. Once a week, I do a Zoom show just for patrons and Rockfin Premium members. It's a blast. I do some jokes, play some songs, tell some stories. We have a good old time. And I'll make you a theme song. If you ever wanted your own theme song, now you can have one. Boom. And I think I'm going to start doing a thing on the Zoom shows where I play some of the theme songs that I've made for people. I got to relearn a bunch of them. I got to relearn what was that hand thing I did? I got to relearn a bunch of the theme songs. Cuz I don't, but if I go back and listen to them, I'll remember them. So anyway, if you want your own theme song, patreon.com / Ron Placone. How much is all that, you ask? A Give What You Can level. So if you're not on stable ground, don't worry about it. All my content goes out for free initially, like all the streams and stuff and the podcast. It all goes, even the patron stream, it goes out for free initially. The replay is just available to Patreon and Rockfin Premium. But if you can't support the show on the financial end, don't worry about it. You can like these videos, share these videos, tweet these videos. Those are all things that you can do to support all the content creators you know and love that doesn't cost a dime. But if you are on stable ground, it's a Give What You Can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Boom. All right. And it's Sunday. Lucy is asleep on the couch. She is, and someone asked, are the Zoom shows for Rockfin members too? Yes. The Zoom link is posted on Rockfin Premium. Yes. So everything that is part of my Patreon is also available to Rockfin Premium. Yes. Lucy knows how to guilt me big time whenever I leave the house now. She has learned how to do that. What happens is, so here's the thing. My tennis shoes, like if I'm just like going out to go for a jog or whatever, I wear my tennis shoes, which I keep outside. I keep my tennis shoes outside because my wife makes me. Honestly, that's why. My wife doesn't like sand getting in the house or the apartment. She doesn't like that. So, which I don't, she grew up on the coast. So I don't know why she's that particular about it, but she is. And, I go to the beach pretty much every day. In fact, so far I've made it every day in 2021. Every day since New Year's Day, I've gone to the beach. That was like my big New Year's resolution. So I'm hoping to continue this. I know I won't get every single day in the year, but I don't know. We'll see how long I can go. It's been however long 2021's been. I've gotten to the beach every single day. But anyway, so whenever I put on other shoes that are kept inside, it means I'm going out. And Lucy, as soon as I put my shoes on, she knows and she starts guilt tripping me hardcore, man. She just starts, like, she saw me putting my shoes on because my wife and I we're going to go somewhere. We're going to sit on a patio, have a drink. And Lucy she starts meowing and then she does the whole, like, the meowing didn't work. So she did another approach, which is like, I'm going to be so adorable. She did the whole like, oh, I'm clinging to your lap. Please pet me. oh, I'm going to do the stretchy thing where I kind of hug you with my paw. When cats do that, your heart just kind of melts a little bit. She knew what she was doing. She's like, you don't want to go. It almost worked. It almost worked. I almost was like, we could just stay in. I almost didn't work. I can't let it. I did. I was like, we'll be back in a couple hours. And we were. Can't really stay out too long because it gets, it gets cold. I mean, everything's still like outdoors and, it gets kind of cold. You try to get close to the heat lamp things that they have, but, you know, all the tables closest to the heat lamps, those are scooped up first, y'all. You know that. Those are scooped up first. All right. So let's see here. Let me go to the patrons. And Nina, we'll start with you. Pazumors, you asked about the podcast. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that last. But Nina, we'll start with you, and then we'll kind of jump around here. Nina, you say, citizen scientist Ron, you should perform this experiment on Lucy. Note, link to Pac-Man decal printouts is at the end of story. Okay, so let's see what this is all about. I naturally mentioned my cat. If I fits, I sits. The science behind cats sitting in squares. Lucy does this all the time. My cat does this. She will, sometimes I have just left shipment boxes just in the living room for a while because she just loves it and she just sits in it. And I remember one time I got her a cat bed and she was completely indifferent. She did not care at all. And then I had this like box from something I received in the mail. She loved it. So I ended up just taking all of her blankets and putting it in the box. I just put it there. And I'm like, well, I wish I would have known this before I got you this cat bed that you ignore. The box would have been a lot cheaper. But yeah, loves the box, indifferent to the cat bed. She's never really liked much cat furniture except for this crinkle pillow that she has. She loves it. And she loves her cat tree, which makes me happy. It's a newer cat tree. She does like it. But anyway, it's common knowledge, according to animals.howstuffworks.com. It's common knowledge that if an empty box of any size is left unattended and a cat finds it, that cat will sit inside. Tiny cats in large boxes, large cats in tiny boxes. Doesn't matter. If I fits, the cat says in the little cat brain, I sit. Anyone who lives with a cat has seen this happen. Any square will do. Okay. All right. So a couple years later, that Sasha, blah, blah, blah. So what did they, a citizen science investigation. So what did they find out? And I guess citizen scientist just means like a regular person. Is that what it is? All right. So she designed an experiment so the humans could gather cat data over 6 days. Participants were given templates to print out, a square to tape on the floor. Oh, will they just go in any shape? Interesting. All right. So the results, she gathered data over the summer of 2020 with participant humans sending in 5-minute videos of the shapes on the floor. If the cat positioned its body within any of the shapes for at least 30 seconds, it counted as a data point. Of course, cats are cats. I watched a lot of empty videos, she said. Smith recruited 500 participants. 30 were able to complete the entire 6-day sequence of tests. Of those, 9 cats chose at least one of the shapes by sitting inside it, with all 4 feet for at least 3 seconds. Though the data set is small, cats did indeed choose the Kinesa square illusion as often as they chose the complete square taped on the floor. Interesting. So I guess it's all right. So here's the pictures. There's them going in a square made of different shapes. I guess it would make sense that they would do that, although her results were kind of low. I mean, if it was over 500 people and only 9, that's not that much. But what are you gonna do? It works. So they do that because it makes them feel safe. Like that's why cats do this. Like they go into like a small area because it makes them feel safe and they like it. So I guess it would make sense that it would, that would work for them. They'd go into like a little box and just sort of live, just sort of hang out. But there's the pictures. I could try that with Lucy, although Yeah, I mean, I could just put, like, a box on the floor and just see what happens. Um, I don't know. What are you gonna do? So, there you go. If I fits, I sits. Look at that. That is such a happy cat in that box. Lucy likes grocery, like she likes, what are those, like, tote bags that you have, the reusable ones? She likes those. She'll crawl inside of those. She'll crawl inside of, like, just any type of bag, and she likes, what's the other thing she really one time she got inside, like, her box of food, like, her food comes in a little box, and, like, we had unloaded all the cans, and she got inside that box. Maybe that was, like, a super awesome box because it's like, not only is this my box, but I can, like, maybe smell my food. Although I don't know if I mean, they were just in cans. I don't know if she could smell it or not. Anyway, so there you go. Some cats, 9 out of 500, will just kinda go into any shape. Uh, it's a safety thing. They feel safe. It's like they like to kinda they like to kinda squeeze. That's their thing. It's the other thing Lucy does is she meows now whenever I'm not sitting the way she wants me to sit on the couch. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure she knows like hockey to an extent. Like I think she knows. I don't know what that sport is. I just know whenever that is on the TV, my dad is going to just lay on the couch for a while, and that makes for some killer napping. And that, like, so she has to, like, whenever she hears or sees hockey, she has to know, up, dude's on the couch. He's going to be here a while. Awesome. And then she comes over. But now what she does is she will just sort of like whine if I'm not sitting the way she wants me to sit. Like if she's like, don't sit down, lay down so that I have more space to sprawl out. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of do what she wants. I do exactly what she says. She's a smart cat. She's trained me well at this point. She really has. All right. So, Chris, I'll go to you, and then I'll go to Pazimores last because Pazimores asked about the podcast um, that I mentioned and I haven't mentioned yet. I said I was going to mention it on last week's Zoom show. I ended up not. We just kind of got I don't know. We were kind of just feeling it, jiving, chatting. I was doing some bits. I was playing some songs. We were having a good time, and I forgot. So Patsy Morris, you didn't miss anything. I didn't share anything about the podcast idea, but I'll talk about it at the end. But Chris, let's go to you first. You say, here's a story from my neck of the woods out in California about one of those anti-woke, quote unquote, trigger conservatives that just can't stand being kind to a human being. Had to add this update. All right, so you have this updated thing here. Hate crime charges have finally been added. All right, let's see what this is all about. Here we go. Fresno DA levies hate crime charges in Israel-Palestine protest pepper spray incident. That's a lot of P's. Israel-Palestine protest pepper spray incident. Say that 5 times fast. Peter Piper picked a pack of Israel-Palestine protest pepper spray incidents. All right, so there's this guy doing the Lord's work. Just wow, from his car. That's courage. That's real courage. Pepper spray people from your car where you can drive away. What a brave guy. So Fresno man pepper sprayed pro-Palestinian protesters last weekend and has been charged with a hate crime. Video emerged Sunday of Brian Lee Turnish, 62, in a confrontation with protesters that morning near River Park. He was in a star in a star. He was flying on a star, going, "I'm such a great man. I pepper spray people for being against genocide. I pepper spray people who just want to see the end of people getting blown up in their homes. I think that that's wrong to not want people to be blown up in their homes. So I'm going to pepper spray you. I am doing the Lord's work." Brian Lee Turner, great guy. So it's this guy. He was in a confrontation with protesters, according to the article. I don't think that's much of a confrontation. He's in his car. He was in his car at a stoplight when he used the pepper spray on 3 protesters who had a Palestinian flag outside of their car. After being arrested Sunday on the charges that he pepper sprayed the protesters, the Fresno County District Attorney's Office added on 3 hate crime enhancements. So I guess everybody was in a car, but still, dude, pepper spraying people through a car? What the hell, man? According to Fresno police, one of the protesters approached Turner in an aggressive manner, which was followed by him using pepper spray. Turner's defense attorney, Mark Capitan, said time will tell with the hate crime charges. What concerns me is a 62-year-old man with no prior criminal record driving on his way home after having dinner and have no intention to be involved in any type of protest. Why would they randomly be yelling at a person? This doesn't look like a guy who, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can't tell everything by looking at the guy, but I mean, judging by this photo, he doesn't look like a guy who's scared, where like somebody confronted him. I mean, look at the passenger. They don't look, if this was, I mean, I guess it is just one still photo. I acknowledge that. But if this guy was being approached and was being like heckled or tormented or whatever, I don't think, I mean, he just looks like he's pissed off and he wants to pepper spray people. I think that's a woman. It's hard to tell. It's pretty blurry, but she just looks fine. Like nothing's going on. So if they were being intimidated or confronted or bullied, I don't think they would look like that. But there you go. There you go. I guess we'll see how this all ends. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. I have a feeling he just was bullying protesters. That's my guess. I think the whole like, oh no, they were messing with him. I have a feeling we're gonna find out that's not what went down. But I don't know for sure. Everybody deserves due process. Blah 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 blah. Pazia Morris, what's up? So you say Anna had issues with the Zoom connection, so please share info on the new podcast. I will, but let's go to your article first. So there are many stories on long-term issues for survivors of COVID-19. I often reflect that we are going to have more people disabled and on disability. Here's an article on long-term issues. Spoiler, people with more money tend to have better outcomes. All right, let's take a look at this. And I have a feeling this is going to be really depressing. Severe COVID-19, maybe. Yeah. Well, long COVID is a thing, right? People who experience very severe COVID-19 illness have a higher prevalence of persistent symptoms, according to a new University of Michigan study. The findings highlight the urgent need to characterize and treat long haulers, people who continue to experience lingering symptoms months after their initial diagnosis, referred to as post-acute sequelae of COVID infection. The symptoms include extreme fatigue, shortness of breath, and persistent loss of taste or smell. Yeah, I think that Jen from Status Quo, Jen Dies from Status Quo has long-term COVID. And I believe that's what they're calling it. They're calling it long COVID or long-term COVID, where you keep having symptoms come back on the regular. I believe that Jen Dies has that. I mean, she got it a while ago. I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. I don't know if it's already been a year at this point. It might have been, but Jen Dies from Status Quo. She got COVID a while ago, and she still will struggle with symptoms. And I believe she has what's called long COVID. I think that's what they're referring to it as. So they found that 53% of COVID survivors had persistent symptoms 30 days post-COVID onset, while 35% were symptomatic 60 days post-onset. For their analysis, the researchers used the Michigan COVID-19 Recovery Surveillance Study, a population-based study of adults 18 and older with a PCR-confirmed SARS-CoV test in the Michigan Disease Surveillance System. All non-institutionalized adults with a valid phone number and a zip code. Okay. So here's the sample data. 53% reported symptoms at 30 days, 35 at 60. Respondents reporting very severe versus mild symptoms had 2.25 times higher prevalence of symptoms at 30 days, 1.71 times higher at 60. Hospitalized versus non-hospitalized respondents had about 40% higher prevalence of symptoms at 30 and 60 days. Although persistent symptoms were more prevalent among older respondents and those with severe disease, 21% of 18 to 34-year-olds and 25% of respondents reporting mild illness had symptoms for 60 days. Older age, lower income, self-reported severe or very severe versus mild symptoms and hospitalization statistically significantly predicted 30-day COVID-19, while having a diagnosed psychological disorder, very severe symptoms and hospitalization statistically significantly predicted 60-day COVID-19. That's a lot of it's a mouthful. That's how you know it's an academic study. It's they to say it's a mouthful. It is a mouthful. Here's what else they found. There were no statistically significant differences in 30-day or 60-day COVID-19 by race or ethnicity. Annual household income was a strong and significant predictor of 30-day COVID-19. Even after adjusting for demographic and clinical factors, respondents with an income of less than 70 grand had about 40% higher prevalence of 30-day COVID than respondents with an income at or above 75,000. Income was not significantly associated with 60-day COVID in fully adjusted models. Respondents with a psychological condition had 42% higher prevalence of 60-day COVID-19. Self-reported acute illness severity was strongly associated with both 30-day and 60-day COVID. Whew. All right. Now I need some water after. The thing that really drained me when I was in academia, and I'm not saying like that's the case in this article. I mean, I know it's a scientific study, so you have to be very thorough, but just more of a commentary on academia in general. I got academia. There is like this thing where if you can say something in 4 words, say it in 12 anyway. Where it's like the longer you can take to say something, the better. That is academia in a nutshell. And you know what's interesting? The real world, total opposite of that. If you can say something in 2 words, say it in two. If you can say something in a sentence, say it in a sentence. If it can be one sentence instead of three, say it in one. Real world, total opposite. In academia, if you can say something in 4 words, if you say it in 20, that's the difference between an A minus and an A. And again, this is a scientific study. I'm not pointing at this one. I'm just kind of whenever I read super long sentences, that's what I get reminded of. That's exactly what I get reminded of. Let's see here. So let me make sure I got through everything y'all submitted. So I'll talk about this podcast now. And I feel this is my first time talking about it publicly, and I don't know if it is or isn't going to happen, which is, I guess, a weird way to set it up. But here's the thing. So I've had this podcast idea for almost 7 years now. I was trying to think. I'm pretty sure it was like 2014. I got the idea for this podcast. It is now 2021. I have still not done this podcast. And I don't know, every now and again, I think of it again and I feel like I want to do it, but I'm not sure, if I have the time for it at the moment. I'd have to rearrange a few things. But anyway, here it is. So I interviewed a guy a while back. I've actually interviewed him twice, but I interviewed a guy named V Vale. Who is V Vale? He is the owner of Research Publications, and he published the Search and Destroy Music magazine, which was a very popular zine, kind of like Maximum Rock and Roll. So he was a big punk rocker, and he is also, to my knowledge, the last surviving member of the Beat Generation, especially now that Lawrence Ferlinghetti is no longer with us. He started his book publisher with a $100 gift that he got from Allen Ginsberg. And then later he got $100 from Lawrence Ferlinghetti as well. I believe he worked at City Lights Books. So he was a little bit younger than they were. And he's still alive. He actually just put out an album. But anyway, the one time I interviewed V-Val, he told me, like, I asked him, I'm like, well, why do you do what you do? Like, why do you publish these books? Why do you do this type of work? Like, what really attracted you to this? And he said that he believes that there's only 1,000 interesting people in the world, and it's his job to document as many of them as possible. And I don't know if he was being literal. Personally, I think there's way more than 1,000 interesting people in the world. I'm sure there are, God, millions and millions. I don't know if I'm even one of them, but I do believe there are many, many, many interesting people out there. But in a thematic sense, I really appreciated the what he was saying. Like I really appreciated where it's like there's so many interesting people in the world doing interesting things, and I want to just document as much as that as I can. I want to tell those stories as much as I can. So I got this idea, well, what if I set out on this mission and I have this podcast where my goal is to talk to 1,000 different people who are just doing something compelling. Like they're just doing something. I mean, I feel weird using the word interesting because that's kind of like, well, what does that mean exactly? But just talk to 1,000 different people from all types of like doing all types of different things. Some of them might be comedians, some of them might be musicians, authors, activists, poets, academics, builders, community organizers, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, but just 1,000 people. And again, are these the only 1,000 interesting people in the world? Of course not. Who can even make that type of judgment call? But in my universe, in my world, these are 1,000 people that I have access to or get access to, and I have 1,000 conversations with them about the world and about what they do and why it's important. And that's my idea for a podcast. And what's kind of interesting about that podcast, I mean, 1,000 is actually a lot when you think about it. That's actually a lot. And if I started it now, uh, like let's say I drop one a week. I do one podcast a week, and I'm sure there's going to be every now and again where I don't, I miss a week or something. I mean, I guess a podcast like this, it's not topical necessarily, so you can kind of have episodes in the bank, so to speak. But so let's just say, for simplicity's sake, I drop one a week. This would be this would be a nearly 20-year project. It'd be about 20 years before this was over. So this would be a near 20-year mission. I mean, are podcasts even still going to be around in 20 years? Do we even know? I mean, probably, but we don't know for sure. Who knows? Who knows what could happen in 20 years? So, so that's my idea for a podcast. I want to have 1,000 conversations with just 1,000 people who I guess maybe the better way to put it, have inspired me in some way that I find inspirational, that I find I want to talk to this person. And again, it could be a journalist, it could be a YouTuber, it could just be someone who makes pots, it could be a gardener, it could be just someone who's really friendly in their community and everyone likes them. Like it could be it could be someone famous, it could be someone totally not famous, it could be just 1,000 people who I find inspirational. I want to just document 1,000 conversations with people that I find interesting. And it's not like the most, I mean, I get it. It kind of has like a This American Life vibe about it or something like that. I get that. And but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. It's something I've thought about. I've been thinking about it for a while now. If I don't do it soon, I'm not going to do it. Um and yeah. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. So that's the podcast idea, Pazumors, and I forgot to mention it at the Zoom show, so I'm mentioning it now. But yeah, and I'm thinking of just calling it 1,000 and seeing if I can, make that goal. Seeing and it'd be cool. I guess it would only be appropriate if V Vale was the first episode. And I kind of talked to him about it, like, hey, you inspired me, like you gave me this idea for a podcast that I want to talk to 1,000 different people I find inspiring. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people. And think about the conversations you have in your life and imagine if you can 1,000 different people. that's a lot of that's a lot of insight. That's a lot of insight, and all these people would be people who have inspired me in some way, that I find what they do compelling and worth sharing, and we got to talk to this person. So, yeah, that would be that would be cool. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. KRTD Media, what's up? Hey, Ron, loved having you at the summit. That was a fun time. Thank you for having me, KRTD Media. For anyone who didn't check it out, over on KRTD Media's YouTube channel, we did the U.S. Solutions Summit yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. There was I think 5 or 6 different panels. I got to catch some of it. I didn't get to catch all of it, but there were a lot of, I mean, Shahid Buttar was there, Howie Hawkins was there, Justin Jackson was there, Fiorella from the Convo Couch, Pasta from the Convo Couch, they were there. The Hard Lens Media crew was there. Steph Samarano was there. I was there. Jimmy Dore was there. Graham Elwood was there. Those were the, who else was Justin Jackson. I think I might have said him already. It was a fun time. The Vanguard crew was there. Gavin and Zach from the Vanguard. They were our moderators. They did an excellent job moderating our panel. Always fun to chat with those guys. Yeah. It should not just be people you find inspiring, but people you want to learn more about what they are doing and why. Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I guess inspiring, and I'm using it very broadly, but yeah, absolutely. They're doing stuff. I just don't know, how do you sum that up? Like 1,000, because at first it was like 1,000 interesting people. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Interesting. Like, what are you, and who are you to say whether something's interesting or not? You know what I mean? Like, who am I to say this person's interesting? I find it interesting, but it's like, well, these are people who are putting something out into the world that I am, that I just find cool. I don't know. Yeah. 1,000 cool people. I'm gonna call it 1,000 cool people. 1,000 conversations with people who I find compelling. I don't know. Is compelling? I mean, could you just sum it up with compelling? 1,000 compelling people. 1,000 fun people. 1,000 fascinating folks. Ooh, 1,000. Now, if I can grab some alliteration and bring that into this, then I'm winning. 1,000 fascinating. I am going to talk to 1,000 fascinating folks. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to try to do. So yeah, I don't know. If I start that podcast, I have to decide, when do I want to do it? How do I want to do it? Do I want to live stream some of them? Do I just want to do it audio? I got some tweaking to do. And I also have to figure out, like, well, what are you really doing? If it's just like I talk to people, well, I feel like these days you have to have a little bit more of a hook than that. You got to have a little bit. Otherwise, like, well, why the fuck would I listen to this thing? I got to be like, I'm on a mission to talk to 1,000 people who I am intrigued by. Yeah. 1,000 chats with 1,000 fascinating folks, 1,000 conversations, 1,000 dialogues. But that just sounds, I don't like that. 1,000, 1KFF. I'm starting to like it. I'm starting to like it. Oh, some of you are saying, what if we ate pasta together? That would, I'd be worried about my health. I'd be worried. Look, here's the thing. You all saw that Man versus Food show at some point, I'd imagine. And that guy, he had to stop eating because they were like, yeah, you're going to die if you keep this up. He was eating. I mean, now granted, it was more than just a bowl of pasta, but he was eating like all these food challenges, and he got like it was getting bad for his health, and they were like, "You can't." So now he doesn't eat. Now someone else eats. I'd be worried I'd get to that point. I'd be worried like, "I don't eat the pasta anymore." Now someone else eats the pasta, and then I would just be like, "Oh, I'm hungry for pasta. I'm watching all these people. Um, all these people are eating pasta, and yeah." Um, so there you go. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna think it over. I might do it. I might not. And that's just gonna be what happens. Like, wow, Ron, that was really like I might do this, I might not, but no, it's weird how we get in our heads. When I started Get Your News On with Ron, it was just sort of like just a fluke thing. I just thought it sounded cool, and I was doing it the next day. I didn't put much thought into it. And it's still going. Yet, like this podcast, I've been thinking about for 7 years, and it is nowhere. It doesn't exist. I've never even told. I told my cousin about it. My cousin is one of my cousins is really into podcasts, so I ran it by him. I'm like, "What do you think of this idea?" And this was years ago. I still haven't done it. I could be I could be a third of the way through it by now, just about. Instead, I'm 0% there. And this is a nearly 20-year project. Maybe I could also mention that. Like this will take nearly 20 years. 1,000. Did you hear that motorcycle? That was loud. I don't know if you heard it. A motorcycle just went. Maybe that's a metaphor. Maybe the motorcycle. Like, Ron, you got to do it. You got to take off. Launch. Do it. Do 1,000. 1,000. How long would the podcast be? I feel like it'd be a little longer. Like, um, I feel like it would be about an hour. Because I feel like a podcast like that, like you really got to talk to someone. If it's like you're having a conversation with them, um, yeah. So I want to say it'd be a little long. It wouldn't be like crazy long, like it wouldn't be like, oh, we're gonna talk for 3 hours, but it would be like a little, 40 minutes to an hour, I'd say. Ooh, 1,000 people only named Ron. That Now we're getting interesting. 1,000 people. Now that'd be hard. It's not the most common name. 1,000 people. I mean, I can think of a few. I'd have to interview. My dad's name's Ron. I'd interview him. Um, what if it was like 1,000 people named Michael? Isn't that's the most common name, right? Or 1,000 people named, but then I would probably be limited to just guys, and that's I want to have I want to have all genders on. I don't want to just Ron Howard, Ron Reagan Jr. Is that really Ron Howard would be an interesting conversation. I would be like, can I? Actually, it wouldn't be. You know what? I take that back. It would just be me being like, can I be in one of your movies? Can you help me? That would be the whole thing. I'd be like, I'd like to be in one of your movies, please. What are your thoughts on letting me be in one of your movies, Ron Howard? And then seeing what was Happy Days like? What was it like? Come on. Um, I would think of other questions. I really would. There'd be more than that in my trip with Ron Howard. Anyway, so that's the podcast. 1,000 conversations with 1,000 people I find intriguing, that I find doing fascinating work, that I'm inspired by. Fascinating folks. 1,000 conversations with 1,000 fascinating folks. Folks. I should probably be able to say it. 1,000 fascinating fucks. You screwed it up. 1,000 fascinating folks. Folks. So we'll see. Thank you very much to KRTD Media for the summit yesterday and for the Super Chat contribution. I appreciate it very much. And thank you, Pazia Moores and Nina and Chris for this week's contributions. Keep in mind, folks, the replay of the stream will only be available on Patreon and Rockfin Premium, but it goes out to everyone at first. And if you're thinking, I might want to become a Patreon, I want my own theme song. I want to see the replay of this and all other patron streams. I want a patron Zoom show once a week on Rockfin Premium/Patreon. Well, way to join. Either join Rockfin Premium or patreon.com/Ron Placone. How much does all that cost, Ron? It's a give what you can level, whatever you're comfortable with. Even $1 a month goes a long way. I get all that. I can get a theme song. That's right. I'm making theme songs for people. Who doesn't need their own theme song? Patreon.com/Ron Placone. All right. Thank you very much, Pazzi Morris. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, KRTD Media. You all make this show possible. It could not exist without you. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with me, or I guess Sunday afternoon, depending on where you're at. It's still morning where I'm at. But for a lot of you, it's probably afternoon already, maybe even evening. It's Sunday. Go do a crazy Sunday thing. Go have a Sunday fun day. Why not? Are you watching this right now? Do you have a Sunday fun day? Just do something. Do something you were not gonna do today. Do something unless you really can't, which maybe you can't. But like if you can, if you're thinking, I got a little bit of flex right now, time-wise, do something out there. Check out a part of town maybe you've never been in before. Check out call a friend, call a family member. You get it. Do something out of the box. Do something that you're like, I wasn't gonna, but I'm doing it now. Do it. All right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it very much. We will have an official Get Your News On with Ron stream on Monday. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And until then, you know the drill. Lucy, she's asleep on the couch. She says meow and don't leave the house. I see it when you do it. I don't like it. But she says meow and I say peace. Peace.